The 1% rule: why the world is ruled by a few, and how to think like them. The 1% rule is a concept that suggests a small fraction of people, typically around 1%, control the vast majority of wealth, power, and influence in the world. This idea is commonly discussed in economics, sociology, and self-improvement circles. If you're referring to a book or theory with this title, it likely explores how the elite think, make decisions, and leverage systems to maintain control. Many books on this topic focus on mindset shifts, strategic thinking, and understanding power dynamics to help individuals break into the top percent of achievers. Here are some key themes that such a book might cover: the power of compounding and small advantages. This principle is at the core of why the 1% continue to grow their wealth, influence, and success. It's based on the idea that small, consistent improvements over time lead to exponential results. This concept applies to money, skills, knowledge, habits, and relationships. 1. Financial compounding: how the rich get richer. Example: if you invest $1,000 at 10% annual growth, in 1 year, it becomes $1,100. In 10 years, it's $2,593. In 30 years, it's $17,449, without adding another cent. Wealthy individuals and investors understand that the key to massive growth is time. They don't seek quick gains. They focus on long-term, compounding returns in investments like stocks, real estate, or businesses. Backhand index pointing right lesson: start early, stay patient, and let your money grow exponentially. 2. The 1% improvement rule, Kaizen principle. This applies beyond money, to skills, habits, and success. If you improve by 1% every day, you'll be 37 times better in a year. 1.01 superscript 3 equals 37.78. On the other hand, if you decline by 1% every day, you'll almost reach 0. 0.99 superscript 3 equals 0.03. This principle is used by elite athletes, top CEOs, and high performers. They focus on tiny, incremental improvements instead of looking for overnight success. Backhand index pointing right lesson: focus on daily progress, not perfection. 3. Knowledge compounding, the information advantage. The wealthiest and most powerful people read, learn, and think deeply every day. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk all credit reading and continuous learning as a major factor in their success. Buffett spends 80% of his day reading and once said, "The more you learn, the more you earn." Musk taught himself rocket science through reading and applied knowledge. Compounding knowledge means that over time, you develop an unfair advantage, because what you know is far beyond what most people ever take the time to learn. Backhand index pointing right lesson: read, study, and invest in learning every day. It compounds. 4. Relationship and network compounding. The top 1% don't just network for short-term gains. They build long-term relationships that keep growing in value. A strong network compounds because as you meet more high-level people, they introduce you to even better opportunities and connections. The richest and most powerful people surround themselves with others who think big, and that momentum keeps pushing them forward. Backhand index pointing right lesson: build relationships before you need them. Connections multiply opportunities. Final takeaway: the 1% understand that small daily actions create massive results over time. Heavy checkmark wealth compounds, so they invest early and wisely. Heavy checkmark skills compound, so they learn something useful every day. Heavy checkmark habits compound, so they focus on positive, daily routines. Heavy checkmark networks compound, so they build valuable relationships before they need them. The secret isn't in a big break. It's in mastering the tiny things, consistently, over time. Leverage and systems thinking. How the 1% multiply their power. The 1% don't work harder. They work smarter by using leverage and systems to achieve exponential results. Instead of relying solely on their personal effort, they create structures that allow them to multiply their time, money, and influence. 1. What is leverage? Leverage means using resources beyond yourself to amplify results. The wealthy and powerful focus on high-leverage activities instead of just working harder. There are 4 main types of leverage. Keycap 1. Financial leverage, using money to make money. The rich don't just save money, they invest and let money work for them. They use other people's money, OPM, to buy assets, real estate, stocks, businesses that generate passive income. Example, real estate investors use bank loans, leverage, to buy properties, rent them out, and build wealth without using all their own cash. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Don't just earn. Invest in assets that work for you. Keycap 2 Labor leverage. Using other people's time and skills. The wealthy don't try to do everything themselves. They hire and delegate. They build businesses and teams that run without their constant input. Example, Jeff Bezos doesn't pack Amazon boxes. He built a system where employees, technology, and automation do the work. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Stop trading time for money. Use teams, employees, or freelancers to scale. Keycap 3 Media and technology leverage. Using code and content to scale. The internet has democratized leverage. Now, one person can reach millions. A book, video, software, or online course can generate money indefinitely, even while you sleep. Example, Elon Musk writes a tweet, and it influences markets instantly because he has media leverage. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Create something once, content, software, automation, that works forever. Keycap 4 Network leverage. Using relationships to gain power. The 1% don't just network, they build strategic alliances. They form partnerships and surround themselves with people who create opportunities, deals, and introductions. Example, billionaires don't apply for jobs. They get insider access to investments, business deals, and government connections. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Build high-value relationships before you need them. 2. Systems thinking. How the 1% remove themselves from the work. A system is a repeatable process that runs with or without you. The rich build self-sustaining systems instead of relying on their own time and energy. How systems create wealth and freedom. Heavy checkmark. A business is a system. It generates revenue without the owner doing all the work. Heavy checkmark investments are systems. They grow wealth without daily effort. Heavy checkmark automation is a system. It replaces manual work with technology. Backhand index pointing right. The 1% don't work in their businesses. They work on their businesses. 3. The key mindset shift. From linear to exponential growth. Most people think in linear terms. Work more, earn more. The 1% think in exponential terms. Work once, earn forever. A job is linear. You work 40 hours, get paid for 40 hours. A business is leveraged. You work once to build it, and it pays you indefinitely. Investing is exponential. You put in money, and it compounds over time. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Think in terms of building assets and scalable systems, not just working harder. Final takeaway. Lightbulb. The 1% don't work more hours. They leverage systems, people, money, and technology to multiply their impact. Heavy checkmark. Use money wisely. Invest, don't just save. Heavy checkmark. Build teams and delegate. Stop doing everything yourself. Heavy checkmark. Create scalable assets, media, software, businesses. Heavy checkmark. Grow powerful networks. Relationships are leverage. Heavy checkmark. Automate and systematize, so you don't have to be involved in every step. Understanding networks and influence. How the 1% build power. The wealthy and powerful don't succeed alone. They build networks and use influence to create exponential opportunities. The right connections open doors, create deals, and amplify power in ways that working alone never can. 1. Why networks matter more than hard work. Most people think success comes from working harder. But the 1% know that who you know is just as important as what you know. Opportunities don't go to the smartest people. They go to those with the best connections. Wealth isn't evenly distributed. It follows networks of trust, access, and influence. The best deals aren't advertised. They happen behind closed doors among insiders. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Your network determines your net worth. 2. The 3 types of powerful networks. The elite intentionally build different types of networks to maximize their influence. Keycap 1 Social networks, personal and business relationships. These are friendships, colleagues, and mentors who can introduce you to opportunities. The wealthy surround themselves with other high achievers because your environment shapes your success. Example, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Reid Hoffman were all part of the PayPal mafia. They helped each other launch billion-dollar companies. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Spend time with people who think bigger than you. Keycap 2 strategic networks, power and influence circles. The top 1% join exclusive clubs, masterminds, and elite organizations to access high-level opportunities. They build alliances in business, politics, and finance to gain leverage. Example: billionaires don't apply for jobs. They get private investment deals because they're in the right circles. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Join communities where high-value opportunities are shared. Keycap 3 distribution networks, audience, and reach. The rich and powerful don't just network privately. They build platforms that amplify their influence. They create social media, podcasts, books, or businesses that reach millions. Example: people like Oprah, Elon Musk, and Joe Rogan use media leverage to shape public opinion and attract opportunities. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Build an audience. Your network shouldn't be limited to just who you personally know. 3. How to build and use influence like the 1%. The wealthy don't just have networks. They use influence to shape them. Keycap 1 the law of reciprocity. Give before you get. Powerful people offer value first before asking for favors. Instead of asking, "How can you help me?" they ask, "How can I help you?" Example: billionaires help each other fund projects, share insider knowledge, and open doors, so they all benefit. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Give first, then influence grows naturally. Keycap 2 social proof. People follow leaders, not beggars. The rich position themselves as valuable, not desperate. They use status, authority, and reputation to attract others to them. Example: the wealthiest don't chase investors or partners. They create opportunities so others chase them. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Become someone worth knowing. Don't chase, attract. Keycap 3 the power of exclusivity. The elite make their circles hard to enter. This increases demand. They don't network with everyone. They focus on high-value relationships. Example: private investment funds, invite-only business deals, and secret societies exist because exclusivity creates power. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Protect your network. Quality over quantity. Final takeaway. Lightbulb the 1% don't just work hard. They work their networks. Heavy checkmarks surround yourself with winners. Environment shapes success. Heavy checkmark join high-value groups. Access equals opportunities. Heavy checkmark give first, then receive. Reciprocity builds influence. Heavy checkmark build an audience. Networks grow faster when you have visibility. Heavy checkmark be selective. Powerful people don't waste time on weak connections. Thinking in probabilities, not certainties. How the 1% makes smarter decisions. The 1% don't think in black and white. They think in probabilities. While most people look for certainty, the wealthy and powerful understand that the world is uncertain, and success is about managing risk, not avoiding it. 1. The problem with certainty thinking. Most people want definite answers. Crossmark: is this a guaranteed success? Crossmark: will this investment 100% make money? Crossmark: what's the perfect career choice? Red circle: but in reality, nothing is 100% certain. There are only likelihoods and probabilities. The 1% think like poker players, investors, and strategists, not like gamblers. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Instead of asking if something will work or not, ask how likely it is to succeed and what you can do to improve the odds. 2. The 1% rule of probabilistic thinking. Lightbulb: the future is uncertain, but I can make high-probability bets. Instead of looking for guarantees, the rich and powerful make calculated bets based on odds. White heavy checkmark investing. This stock has a 70% chance of going up based on historical trends, but I'll prepare for the 30% downside. White heavy checkmark business. This idea has a 60% chance of success, but if it fails, I'll gain skills and connections that improve my next venture. White heavy checkmark networking. There's a 50% chance this connection will help me, but the cost of asking is 0, so it's worth it. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Success isn't about certainty. It's about stacking the odds in your favor. 3. How the 1% use probabilities to win. Keycap 1 they think in expected value, EV, not just outcomes. Expected value, EV, equals probability of success times reward, probability of failure times cost. Example: investment A has a 50% chance of making $10,000 and a 50% chance of losing $2,000. EV equals 0.5 times 10,000. 0.5 by 2,000 equals $4,000. Even though there's a chance of losing, it's a high probability bet worth taking. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Take bets where the upside is much greater than the downside. Keycap 2. They manage risk instead of avoiding it. The 1% don't fear failure. They prepare for different outcomes. They ask, what's the worst case scenario, and can I survive it? Example, a rich investor won't put all their money in one deal. They spread risk across multiple opportunities. Entrepreneurs don't just hope their startup works. They have backup plans. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Don't avoid risk. Manage it so that no single failure destroys you. Keycap 3. They use Bayesian thinking, updating beliefs with new information. Most people make one decision and stick to it, even when evidence changes. The 1% constantly update their beliefs based on new data. Example, if a startup idea isn't working, they pivot instead of forcing it to succeed. If an investment isn't performing, they reevaluate instead of holding on to it out of ego. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Be flexible. Change your mind when the facts change. 4. How to apply this to your life. Heavy check mark instead of asking, will this work? Ask, what are the chances this works? Heavy check mark. Take small, smart bets where the upside is big and the downside is small. Heavy check mark. Never risk more than you can afford to lose. Heavy check mark. Constantly update your strategy based on new information. Heavy check mark. Think like an investor, not a gambler. Backhand index pointing right. Final takeaway. The 1% don't need certainty. They play the odds, stack the deck, and adapt as they go. Emotional mastery and decision-making. How the 1% stay rational under pressure. The wealthy and powerful don't let emotions control their decisions. While most people make choices based on fear, greed, or ego, the 1% master their emotions to think clearly, act decisively, and stay in control, especially in high-stakes situations. 1. Why emotional control equals power. Most people, crossmark chase instant gratification, make impulsive decisions. Crossmark fear failure, avoid risks that could lead to massive success. Crossmark get stuck in ego battles, make bad choices just to win arguments. Crossmark panic under pressure, lose control when things don't go as planned. Lightbulb, the 1% master their emotions because they know that bad decisions come from uncontrolled emotions. Backhand index pointing right lesson. If you can control your emotions, you can control your decisions. And if you can control your decisions, you can control your future. 2. The 1% decision-making framework. Keycap 1. They separate logic from emotion. They pause before reacting. Instead of making emotional decisions, they ask, white heavy checkmark, am I making this choice based on facts or feelings? White heavy checkmark, what would a completely rational person do in this situation? Example, Warren Buffett avoids market panics by thinking long-term, while most investors sell in fear. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Slow down, step back, and think logically before reacting. Keycap 2. They master emotional resilience, stoic thinking. The 1% expect obstacles and train themselves to stay calm. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? They ask, how can I use this? Example, billionaires like Elon Musk stay unfazed during massive failures. They adapt instead of panicking. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Expect problems and develop the mindset to handle them rationally. Keycap 3. They use data, not feelings, to make big choices. They don't rely on gut instinct alone. They analyze data, probabilities, and trends. Example, Jeff Bezos follows the regret minimization framework. He asks, in 10 years, will I regret not taking this risk? Backhand index pointing right lesson. Use data and long-term thinking to make decisions, not emotions. 3. How to train emotional mastery like the 1%. Keycap 1. Master impulse control, delaying gratification. Most people make impulsive choices, spending money, quitting early, reacting in anger. The 1% develop self-control to avoid short-term temptations for long-term gains. Example, successful investors don't buy stocks based on hype. They wait for the right moment. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Pause before making any decision, especially emotional ones. Keycap 2. Train under pressure, desensitized to stress. The 1% expose themselves to stress regularly, so they stay calm in chaos. Example, Navy SEALs train in extreme conditions, so they stay rational in real combat. How to apply? White heavy checkmark take cold showers, builds discipline. White heavy checkmark public speaking, reduces fear of judgment. White heavy checkmark small financial risks, reduces fear of failure. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations so you get used to handling stress. Keycap 3. Use mental models to stay rational. The 1% rely on mental frameworks to make better decisions. Brain, what would my future self thank me for? Stops short-term thinking. Brain, what if I had to make this decision 100 times? Forces rationality over emotion. Brain, what's the worst that could happen, and can I handle it? Reduces fear. Backhand index pointing right lesson. Train yourself to think logically in every situation. Final takeaway. Lightbulb, the 1% don't let emotions control them. They stay calm, think logically, and make rational choices even under pressure. Heavy checkmark pause before reacting. Bad decisions come from emotional impulses. Heavy checkmark expect problems. Resilience keeps you in control. Heavy checkmark make data-driven choices, not emotional ones. Heavy checkmark train stress tolerance, so pressure doesn't break you. Heavy checkmark use mental models to force clear, rational thinking.